You never liked the silence. Ever. At first, you thought it was just something you were scared of. For no reason. But as you grew older, you realized that there was a reason. There had always been a reason. You've always slept with your creaky ceiling fan running, no matter how cold it was. You'd take extra blankets. You'd shiver, but you never switched the creaky thing off. Because you knew how much you dreaded the silence. Because you knew that once it was silent, you'd hear them. At first, it had started out as soft hissing noises. You'd ignore it, but then you'd realize that it sounded like someone was whispering something to you. It took you time to decipher them. You finally did. You never forgot that. They told you about the underworld. Hell, the place where everyone went once they died. There was no heaven. There was only hell. They told you about the creatures there, how every monster you'd ever feared was real. They told you terrible things. Then they told you how your grandfather's soul was inching closer to hell, to death. You remembered being at your grandpa's funeral the very next day, shaking more out of fear than grief. They were real. It was real. Since then, you've never allowed the silence to envelop you while you sleep. You're scared you'll hear them. The things they spoke about still gave you nightmares. You've never slept in complete darkness either, because that's when you see them. He and his girlfriend weren't the most romantic couple. Their idea of spicing up in their relationship was making out in the dark. He came over to her house late one night when her parents were out of town, and they lay down on her bed together. He turned off the bedside lamp, held her hands in his, and began kissing her gently. The thing about the darkness is that it heightens your other senses. The sound of her gentle breathing beginning to quicken. The sweet smell of perfume at the base of her neck. The taste of her lips, and the salt on her skin. The feeling of nails beginning to dig into his shoulders. Despite the darkness, his eyes snapped open as he realized that both her hands were still clasped firmly within his own. I sat on the bus on my way to school, listening to music and paying little to no attention to the other students. At one of the stops, my mind snapped back to reality. I looked towards the small house. Tommy's house, I thought. A hand slipped through the drapes of the window and waved the bus driver to move on. He's sick, I thought, paying no large amount of attention to the situation. The day flew by. I watched the local news channels after school, and what I heard paralyzed me. Tommy's entire family was murdered that day by an unknown suspect. After hearing this news, I moved back up to my room and quietly fell asleep. The next day, I sat on the bus. We drove past Tommy's house, and the bus driver, unaware of Tommy's family's fate, stopped at his home. As I was about to get up and explain to her what had happened, something caught my eye. A pale hand slipped through the drapes of the window and waved the bus driver to move on. I sat on the bus, terrified. My house is old. It's by far the oldest house on our block. We tried to liven it up, make it more comfy, and we did a pretty good job. We put colorful rugs on the freezing concrete, lamps in every corner. Every room was nice and modern, except the basement. When I was a little kid, I would sprint up the stairs coming up from the basement. I don't know what I was afraid of, maybe a ghost or a monster in the dark behind me, waiting for me to turn around so it can catch me, and I don't know what it would do. But now, as a 17-year-old boy, I'm walking up the stairs from my basement, and my childish fears, long repressed, are coming back. I tell myself to shut up, But that dark part in the back of my head tells me to run, to get out now. More than anything, I want to rocket up those stairs as I did as a child. But I force myself to take even normal steps. I feel the overwhelming urge to look behind me, but I also want to win the battle of paranoia that's going on in my brain. So I slowly walk up the seemingly endless staircase, my palms sweating and my heart racing the entire way. But about 10 steps from the top, I feel an ice-cold hand close around my ankle. James arrived home late at night. He unlocked his front door and stepped into the darkness of his apartment. "Hey honey, I got that early flight home. I'm in the bedroom. There's been a power cut." James was surprised, but happy to hear his girlfriend's voice. She had been away for a few days on a business trip. "Okay, I'll be right there." He stumbled through the darkness and into the bedroom. He carefully made his way over to the bed before sitting down. "Hey sweetheart," he said, as he felt his girlfriend's arms wrap around him. "Jesus, Abigail, you're freezing." He shuddered as he felt her cold skin against him. "I know, the heating has been off for hours." "Come on, baby, get in bed and help me warm up," she said, attempting to put on a cute voice. James got undressed and placed his phone on the bedside table before climbing into bed. He removed his glasses and moved close to Abigail. He was startled for a moment when his phone began to ring. He picked it up and looked at it, but didn't recognize the number. He brought it to his ear and answered. "Hello?" "Hey honey, it's me. I'm still at the airport. I couldn't get that flight, but I'll be able to get one soon. I'll probably be home by morning." "Hello? James?" He felt an icy hand grip his shoulder.